The crash site in the wasteland. The sun burned hot above the wasteland. Wind carried sharp dust across the endless orange sand. There were no trees, no shade, no water. Just rocks, broken metal, and silence. Jared moved carefully through the ruins, his boots crunching on shattered glass and ash. He wore a long coat dust-covered with armor plates strapped to his chest and legs. His face was half covered by a breathing mask, but his eyes stayed alert. He had seen smoke from far away. That usually meant a ship crash, or worse, a trap. But Jared needed parts for his own broken ship. He hadn't eaten in 2 days, no risk, no survival. As he climbed over a sharp ridge of black rock, he finally saw it. A downed alien ship. Its silver frame was torn in half, burning on one side. Alien tech panels were cracked open, wires hanging like dead vines. Strange symbols glowed dimly on the outer hull. But then, something moved. Jared dropped flat and reached for his small blaster. He watched. The movement came again. Not machine. Not animal. It was a person. Someone crawled out of the wreckage slowly, barely alive. It was a girl. She collapsed on the sand, gasping, weak. She had no clothes, only cuts, bruises, and a faint purple glow around her skin. Her body was alien, tall, slim. Her skin a smooth lavender shade. Her hair was long and silver white, tangled with blood. Her legs shook. Her arms barely held her weight. She tried to rise, but collapsed again. Jared didn't move at first. He had seen traps like this before. Some slavers used bait, naked girls, broken androids. He scanned the area. No movement, no life signs nearby. He stood up slowly, stepped closer. The girl turned her head and saw him. Her eyes widened in fear. They were bright green, glowing faintly. She tried to crawl away, but her body was too weak. "I'm not going to hurt you," Jared said softly, raising both hands to show he meant no harm. Of course she didn't understand. Different language, different world. She kept shaking her head, tears in her glowing eyes. Jared saw how her ribs showed under her skin, how the wind cut across her bare body. She was freezing, and the sun would burn her soon. He knelt down and pulled off his thick outer coat. Gently, he wrapped it around her. She flinched at first, then stopped moving. "You're hurt," he whispered. "We need to move. This place is not safe." She didn't reply. She couldn't. Jared picked her up carefully. She was light. Too light. She had no strength left. Her arms hung weakly over his shoulder. Her face buried in his chest. He could feel her trembling. A loud roar echoed in the distance. Jared froze. Not from the ship. It was something else. Something hunting. He looked toward the dunes. A shadow moved quickly. 4 legs, sharp tail. Too far to see clearly, but it was coming closer. He adjusted his grip and ran. Not fast, but steady. He knew the way to his hideout. It was a hidden cave between 2 cliffs, half a mile from here. If he could reach it, they'd be safe. Dust whipped into his face. His lungs burned, but he didn't stop. Behind him, another roar. Louder now. The girl groaned faintly, one arm tightening around him. She was afraid too. Finally, he reached the cliffs. He ducked into the narrow crack between 2 stones and slipped into the cave. Inside, it was cooler, darker. Jared gently laid her down on a soft mat made from old scavenged cloth. She looked up, at him, weak but alive. He lit a small lamp. The light showed more of her face, beautiful even through dirt and blood. She looked young, maybe his age or younger. Small glowing dots moved gently under her skin, some kind of bioenergy. Her lips moved. Jared leaned closer. She whispered something in her alien tongue, then closed her eyes. He sat beside her, watching. The sounds outside faded. The danger for now was gone. Jared pulled a thin blanket over her and checked her wounds. Some were deep, but not deadly. He gave her a few drops of water from his canister. She drank slowly, her eyes open just a little. He smiled. You're going to be okay. She didn't understand the words, but maybe she understood the voice. Maybe in that cold cave, with a stranger from another world, she felt the first small spark of hope. Shelter and secrets, the alien girl woke up to a strange sound. Not a roar, not fire, not pain. It was humming. A soft human hum echoing through the cave walls. She opened her glowing green eyes slowly, confused. The last thing she remembered was the crash, the heat, and then arms, warm arms, lifting her from death. Now she was wrapped in strange fabric. The smell was different too, like metal, dust, and safety. She blinked. A human male sat nearby, turning a small broken machine in his hands. Sparks danced as he tried to fix it. He was talking to himself, like he was used to being alone. Come on, you old thing, just one more charge, Jared muttered. He didn't notice she was awake. The girl shifted slightly, her body still weak. The coat wrapped around her smelled like oil and fire, but it was warm, and for the first time in days she wasn't shaking. She coughed, just once. Jared jumped and dropped the tool. You're awake? She didn't understand the words, but his voice wasn't angry. It was surprised, maybe even happy. He moved slowly toward her, palms open, showing he meant no harm. Hey, easy, he said, kneeling down. You're safe here. The girl looked around. Stone walls, a single lamp, old tech stacked in corners. There were drawings on the wall, maps maybe, photos of Earth, stars she didn't recognize. Jared offered her a strange blue container. Water, he said, then sipped it himself and passed it. She hesitated, then drank. Her hands shook, but her throat needed it. Then she tried to speak, but no voice came. Just a soft whisper. A word that didn't translate. Jared tilted his head. You can't speak? She pointed at her throat, then shook her head. Her eyes dropped. Shame. He frowned. Damage from the crash? Or something else? She didn't answer. Instead, she reached toward the sand floor and slowly drew a circle. Then a star. Then a symbol that looked like a broken crown. Jared watched carefully. You're trying to talk, he said gently. Okay, let's try this. He stood up and brought over a small translator device, half broken but usable. He placed it between them and tapped the start button. The machine crackled. Then a robotic voice echoed. Name, please. Speak. Slowly. The girl looked unsure. She pointed to herself. Then, with effort, whispered a single word. Zira. The device beeped. Name, Zira. Jared smiled. Zira. Got it. He pointed to himself. Jared. The device repeated. Jared. They had names now. It was a start. Then Zira tried to draw again, this time a starship with a symbol, a broken flame. Jared's face turned serious. Exile? He asked. She nodded slowly, tears forming in her eyes. She drew another symbol. Sharp. Cruel. It looked like a collar. She was marked. Banished. Left to die. Jared sat back, shocked. They left you like this. Zira looked away. She pulled the coat tighter around her like she wanted to disappear. He could feel the silence getting heavier. So he stood, walked to a storage box, and pulled out something, a soft gray cloth. He offered it. Clothes, he said simply. Zira hesitated, then took it with trembling hands. She turned away and carefully dressed. The human coat was warm, but this made her feel less like a ghost. When she turned back around, Jared was preparing food. He didn't stare. He didn't ask anything else. He just handed her a small heated packet. It smelled strange, but it filled her empty stomach. After they ate, Zira touched the wall and started drawing again. This time, a figure standing over her, with a jacket. It was him. She pointed at the E, drawing, then at her heart. The message was clear. You saved me, the device translated. Jared nodded slowly. Yeah, and I will keep doing that. Until you're safe. Outside, the wind howled, but inside the cave, two souls from different stars sat close to a single flame. And for the first time in Zira's life, someone didn't want her gone. The story. She couldn't tell Zira didn't sleep that night. Even with Jared close, even with warmth on her skin, her dreams were broken. Every time her eyes closed, she saw fire, screaming voices, and the moment the airlock door closed, leaving her behind. She sat by the wall of the cave, knees pulled close, watching Jared sleep. He had given her food, shelter, his coat, his trust. But if he knew who she really was, what she carried, would he still look at her with those kind eyes? The translator device rested beside her. Zira touched it gently as if afraid it might break under the weight of what she had to say. When morning came, Jared woke to the soft sound of the machine buzzing. She was already trying to speak. Bad girl, broken, thrown away. The words were rough, the meaning even worse. Jared sat up slowly. Zira, what are you trying to tell me? She looked at him. Her green eyes trembled, but she didn't look away. Through the translator, she whispered, Zira was noble. Jared blinked. Noble? You mean royalty? She nodded, then drew a symbol in the dirt again. Same one from before. A broken crown. They said, I broke honor. She took a deep breath and placed a hand on her chest. Zira refused, forced joining. The translator paused. Forced marriage? She nodded again, eyes dropping. Jared's face hardened. So they punished you because you said no? The translator didn't need to repeat. Zira had already seen the anger rising in his eyes, not at her, but at the cruelty done to her. She went on, exiled, alone, transport, sabotage. The machine buzzed again. They tried to kill you. Zira pointed outside the cave, then mimed an explosion, the crash. It wasn't an accident. They wanted her ship to fail. No survivors. No questions. She was supposed to die in the desert, silent, forgotten. But then Jared came. She looked at him now, unsure how much more she could say. He didn't speak for a while, just stared at the small fire between them. Finally he looked up. I don't care what they called you, I don't care what they tried to do, you didn't deserve this. Zira's lip trembled, he added, voice steady. You're not broken, Zira. You're just surviving. She smiled weakly, not because she believed it, but because it was the first time someone ever said it to her. Then the translator buzzed with a new message from her. Why, you save me? Jared leaned back, thoughtful. Because I've been left behind before too, he said softly. Not the same way, but pain feels the same, and no one should go through it alone. Zira looked down at her hands. They were shaking, but for the first time, not from fear. She reached out and gently touched his. A quiet moment passed, and without saying it, without any more words, they both knew. Two lost souls had finally found something worth holding on to. Desert raiders and broken bones. The cave trembled. It was just a soft shake at first, like the desert was holding its breath. Zira sat up quickly, her senses sharper than Jared's. Her glowing eyes narrowed. She could feel something in the sand. Something approaching. Jared grabbed his scanner. The old device blinked red. Movement. Big. Fast. Zira pointed at the cave entrance. Her voice, still hoarse, came out as one word. Run. But there was no time to run. A blast hit the outer rocks, sending dust and fire into the cave. Jared shielded Zira with his body, pulling her behind a metal crate as another explosion shook the earth. Outside, shapes moved through the storm. Tall armored raiders, part machine, part alien, cloaked in bone and rust. They followed ship crash signals. They hunted survivors like sport. Now they had found Zyra. Jared peeked from the crack. 4 of them, 2 with blasters, 1 with a heat. Lance. The leader wore a horned helmet, his face hidden, voice booming through a speaker. "Give us the girl!" Zyra's breath caught in her throat. Her past had come back to finish the job. Jared stood, eyes hard, blaster in hand. "You'll have to go through me first." The raiders laughed. A bolt of plasma shot at him, missing by inches. Jared fired back, hitting one in the leg. Zyra watched, frozen in fear. But then, Jared tripped over a stone and fell. A sharp crack. His leg twisted. At a terrible angle, he screamed. Zyra rushed to him, her hands trembling. She tried to lift him, but he pushed her away. "Go," he gasped. "Hide, please." But she wouldn't leave. Not again. She grabbed his blaster with shaky hands. She had never used a weapon before. Her fingers didn't even fit properly around the trigger. But she stood. The raiders entered the cave. Zyra stepped in front of Jared. "No," she whispered. A strange light flickered in her eyes. The leader raised his weapon, but then hesitated. There was something glowing under her skin now, not just bioenergy, but something ancient, something dangerous. Zyra screamed, a sound full of pain and power. A shockwave burst from her body. The cave shook. Rocks fell. The first raider was thrown back. The others staggered. Zyra collapsed, breathing hard, her body glowing like starlight. Jared, stunned, stared at her. "What was that?" She didn't answer. Her body trembled. Her nose bled. That power had come at a cost. But she saved him. The remaining raiders retreated, afraid. The leader cursed and vanished into the storm. Zyra crawled to Jared, hands shaking. She looked at his broken leg, her heart racing. Jared smiled weakly. "Guess you saved me this time." Tears filled her eyes. Outside, the desert burned under the rising sun, but inside that broken cave, something stronger was rising. Not just survival, something like love. The spark of humanity. Zyra had never seen a bone set before. Not like this. Jared bit down on a rag as she pressed the metal rod against his broken leg, sweat pouring from his face. There was no medicine, no doctor, just her hands, and his trust. The device beeped once. Bones aligned. Jared passed out. Zyra sat back, shaking. This human had faced death to protect her, and now he was lying on the cold cave floor, wounded because of her past. She looked at her hands again. They had power, but not control. She hadn't known that strange spark was inside her, something ancient, something forbidden. The exile mark on her body wasn't just punishment, it was fear. Her people feared what she could become. Zyra crawled to the fire and stared into the flame. "Why am I still alive?" she whispered to herself. The translator device was off, but her voice still carried the weight of loss. Suddenly she noticed Jared's bag had slipped open. Inside was something old, torn. A paper photo. It showed him, younger, smiling, standing, beside a woman with soft eyes and a child laughing beside them. Family. They were gone now. The edges of the photo were burned. But Zyra stared at it for a long time. She finally understood. That spark in Jared was the same one that lit inside her back at the crash site. It wasn't just energy or power, it was hope. The next day, when Jared woke, he found Zyra outside the cave, her hands glowing, building something. It looked like a signal beacon. "Zyra?" he asked, voice weak. She turned and smiled. Not just with her lips, but with her eyes. "You help me." "I help you," she said slowly through the translator. Jared blinked. "You fixed the transmitter?" She nodded. "Enough to call ship. My people." His smile faded. "You want to go back?" Zyra looked away. "No. I want them to come here. Jared sat up with effort. That's dangerous. I know, she said softly. She held up the old photo. You protect family. I protect you. The words hit him deep. That spark was growing now, not power, not rage, but something bigger. Zira was no longer the girl left to die. She was becoming something new. A warrior of hope. The rescue that changed everything. The sky cracked open like a wound. A ship, smooth and silent, broke through the clouds above the desert. Its glowing engines lit the sands blue. The air around it buzzed with pressure. Cyrus stood on the ridge outside the cave, her silver hair whipping in the wind. She had rebuilt the beacon using scraps, wires, and her last burst of energy. She had called them, but now that they were coming, her hands trembled. Jared watched her from inside, his leg bandaged, his strength returning. He could see the conflict in her eyes. She said they were her people, but also the ones who threw her away like trash. Are you sure? He asked. Zira turned. Her voice was calm, but her heart wasn't. They need to see me alive. The ship landed hard, dust spraying in every direction. The ramp lowered. Figures stepped out, tall aliens in polished armor. Their faces were unreadable, their weapons ready. Zira walked forward, slow but steady. One of the armored leaders, a woman with cold violet eyes, stepped ahead. She wore the same broken crown insignia Zira once carved in the sand. You survived, the leader said with disbelief. Zira didn't bow, didn't speak in fear. I was thrown away, she said through her translator. But a human carried me through fire. Gasps spread through the group. Whispers. Zira continued, pointing toward the cave. He saved me, protected me. And now, he needs help. The leader's eyes narrowed. Why should we listen to an exile? Zira took a deep breath. She stepped forward, placing her palm on the ground. From her hand, a soft pulse of ancient light spread. A symbol appeared. One even. They didn't expect it was not just the mark of exile, but the mark of a starborn, a rare and powerful lineage, one believed to be extinct. Zira stood tall. I'm not just an exile. I'm your legacy. The silence was thick. Then, slowly, the leader dropped her weapon and bowed her head. Behind her, others followed. They didn't come to rescue Zira. Zira had rescued herself. And now, she was demanding help, not for herself, but for the human who gave her his coat when she had nothing. Moments later, Jared was lifted gently into the ship. Medics worked fast. Zira stayed by his side. You didn't have to do this, Jared whispered. I know, Zira replied. But humans protect what they love. And for the first time in her life, she understood what that meant. A new home, a new beginning. Rain fell on Earth that day. Not a storm, just soft drops falling like quiet tears from the sky. For Zira, it was the first time she had ever seen rain. She stood under it with her face tilted up, arms open, eyes closed. The water slid down her lavender skin, mixing with the memories she could never erase. No burning sun, no cold caves, no fear of being hunted, just the gentle sound of a world healing around her. Behind her, Jared stepped out onto the porch of his small countryside home. His leg was still healing, but he walked now, with her by his side every day. His jacket hung loosely over his shoulders, and he carried 2 steaming mugs of tea. Still amazed by water falling from the sky, he asked, smiling. Zira turned to him, eyes glowing softly. It's like the planet is crying, she said through the translator. Crying happy tears, Jared replied, handing her the mug. She nodded. Like me. Weeks had passed since they left the desert planet. Zira's people had offered her a royal return, riches, power, even her old title. She refused. They didn't understand at first. But Zira didn't want to go back to thrones and lies. She had found something better. Tiny house. a quiet life, and a man who had seen her as more than broken. Now she spent her days learning earth things, how to cook, how to laugh, how to live freely. She still kept a knife hidden under her belt. Old habits died slow. But her eyes no longer scanned for danger. They searched for flowers and clouds, books, and Jared? He stopped waiting for rescue, because deep down he had already been saved by the girl he once found lying in the sand with nothing but fear in her eyes and a storm in her heart. That storm had passed. Zira took his hand now and held it tightly. "I was left with nothing," she whispered. "But you gave me everything." Jared looked at her, then up at the clouds. "Funny," he said. "I was just about to say the same thing." And as the rain fell around them, two souls from different stars stood under the same sky, no longer strangers, no longer broken, just a new beginning together.